What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about 3 stocks to add to your watch list for this upcoming week that have their earnings coming out. So I'm going to go over those. Make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. With that, let's get right to it. So as far as the 3 stocks that I'm going to be talking on, I'll go over their earnings per share, revenue, some expectations, and talk on vaguely the technicals. And this is obviously a spin-off of my thing that I do every week about 3 stocks to watch that could have a squeeze. So let me know your kind of thoughts on the whole earnings component. But as far as earnings, these are the companies unveiling their earnings. Of course, the big notable one is going to be NVIDIA. That is after hours Wednesday. I also did pick Toll Brothers and also Dollar Tree. And even though there is some other ones out there, I do feel that those 3 give a good overview of the broader market and different sectors completely. So once again, I'm going to touch on that. As far as NVIDIA, so again, Wednesday after hours, I'll go over this. So when it comes down to some things that you need to know for earnings, people generally care about earnings per share, revenue, and future guidance. Future guidance is that thing that they basically could talk on anything, but it's just their future plans. Are they on track to what they did previously state in the past, or are they a lot more optimistic? I think this is what a lot of people really liked about NVIDIA's Q1 earnings, was the fact that they kind of upped their targets a little bit and upped their estimates, I mean. So I think that could potentially happen this time around, and I think the market generally does like that. So when it comes down to, for instance, earnings per share, generally, with the exception of Q2 and Q3 in 2022, NVIDIA has always far exceeded analyst expectations. And based on this, there was 31 with a consensus of, or 31 analysts, I should say, that have given estimates with a consensus of $2.05. And as of right now, there is 34 with a consensus of $2.06. So of course, 3 analysts recently jumped on board and upped their, I guess, ratings, or were very bullish, I guess, behind the scenes. So definitely that's a fairly good thing. As far as revenue, similar to earnings per share, it looks like they always far exceeded the analyst expectations, with the exception of, it looks like, Q2 of 2022. But as far as this upcoming earnings, there is currently 33 analysts with a consensus of 11.09 million, or sorry, billion. Definitely a big difference in that. So 11.09 billion. And similarly, 3 analysts recently did jump on board, and it went from 11.02 to 11.09 billion. So of course, those analysts that did get in kind of were bullish on NVIDIA. And of course, I think it's going to be their future guidance. That's one thing that a lot of people really look at. There's a lot of fear out in the market. And if NVIDIA does give good earnings, or potentially, or future guidance similar to what happened in Q1, then that might be the market's saving grace. So a lot of people are going to be playing options and stocks when it comes down to NVIDIA. So let me know you guys' thoughts on that. As far as what to expect based on the technicals, with it being currently at $432.99, it is between this S1 and the pivot, which in comparison, it's not too bad. So I think that's a fairly good thing, but I do believe that a lot of people have high expectations for NVIDIA. So I think there's a good understanding that it might actually trend up. So of course, with that said, 453.88 is going to be that next big resistance. 479, 495, and 521. Those are the points that you need to make mental note of. And of course, there's going to be a lot of resistance at each of those levels. But in my opinion, I do feel that NVIDIA is going to be a double beat on both earnings per share and revenue. But keep in mind, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence. And when it comes down to, for instance, NVIDIA, one thing that you need to realize is if they do miss on their earnings, they are going to go down very fast, because even looking at their PS ratio compared to a lot of their peers and competitors, they are like 4-5x based on all that. So of course, technically, if they do miss, like I mentioned, anticipate a very heavy drop. But once again, moving on from that, I'm going to be talking on good old Toll Brothers. So ticker is TOL right here. And on a side note, if you're looking for a lot of good compiled information such as this, take a look at Interactive Brokers. I do have a link to them in the description below and also the comments for all of this information, whether it be for short related or just analyst ratings, forecasts, everything under the sun that you need to know. But when it comes down to Toll Brothers and their earnings per share, currently there is 15 analysts with a consensus of $2.81. That actually did go down from 2.82. Of course, there was previously 16 analysts. So it looks like one analyst kind of withdrew their estimate. So kind of weird in that regard. I'm not really particularly aware of why based on this. Could definitely take a look at some of the analyst ratings, the recent ones, just to see if maybe some have changed about that. So you can kind of see Raymond James, KBW, those were, looks like 4 days ago, last month. So most likely with even KBW giving a $94 price target and a buy, that wouldn't have been them. Maybe it could have been Goldman Sachs, that was last month, who did give a $70 target. So they might have withdrew their earnings or their analyst estimate. So again, let me know you guys' thoughts. And on a side note, if you guys have any questions about anything that I am bringing up, feel free to let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to bring that or I guess address that. But for their earnings per share, generally similar to NVIDIA, they do always far exceed their earnings per share, even though it's kind of sporadic all over the place. But generally, I do feel that that is going to be another good win or a potential easy beat for Toll Brothers. And when it comes down to revenue, this one isn't as successful as, for instance, earnings per share. So this one, they missed on, it looks like Q1, Q3 of 2022, and also Q1 in 2023. And just so you guys are aware, I don't know if I accidentally said it wrong, maybe talking about earnings per share, but they are actually issuing their Q3 earnings. So again, just be aware of that. And also on a side note, Toll Brothers is Tuesday after hours. So when it comes down to revenue, currently there is 14 analysts with a consensus of 2.41 billion, and previously it was 14. So no real changes about that. So again, that's maybe a good thing, bad thing. So one analyst did recently get out only for earnings per share and didn't really touch the revenue component. So of course, when it comes down to that, some points that you really need to watch for, with it being at 76.38, it is currently between, it looks like the S2 and S1. So that's a little bit more normal to, I guess, the general other stocks, other growth stocks and stuff like that. So 74.59 is that next big support. 71.38 is that next big support for this S3 as well. And vice versa, if you are optimistic, as far as the S1, 76.57, 79, 83, and 84. I don't believe there'd be any chance for it to exceed this R2, but that's just my own opinion, of course. I do generally feel that based on just what I've looked at this company and I guess the issues that I've been going through in Q2, I do feel that there's a fair chance that it could potentially trend down. But once again, I'm just bringing this up. You guys make sure you guys do your own due diligence. Once again, you can play all of these earnings either through options, physical shares, or whatever else. Of course, in NVIDIA's case, with each share is going to be significantly higher. So currently at $433, that is going to cost a lot more capital versus options. Whereas with Toll Brothers, it might be advantageous for either or. So once again, that's just a thing to know. As far as Toll Brothers in comparison to its peers, the PS ratio, it's kind of normal. So in reality, I think that there won't be any negative swings, in extreme negative swings potentially. So that might be a positive behind that. And finally, good old Dollar Tree. So ticker is DLTR. So let's just quickly pull this one up. So DLTR. And once again, similar to what I recently mentioned, if you are looking for a lot of good compiled information, you can also take a look at this. I do have a 14-day free trial for you guys for Seeking Alpha Premium in the description below as well. So in case you're looking for more news related kind of stuff. But when it comes down to, for instance, Dollar Tree, so I'll quickly pull this up. So analyst forecasts. So based on this, they do generally keep in line with the analyst expectations. So this one was a negative surprise. This one they minorly beat, very minorly beat. This one they did. So it's kind of hit and miss. So analysts seem to be very much on point with that. Currently there is 23 analysts with a consensus of 0.86 cents per share. So nothing really crazy in that regard. Even if it is in line with the expectation, I feel like that won't really drive the stock higher in my opinion. But as far as revenue, currently there is 21 analysts with a consensus of 7.17 billion. And when it comes down to that, that's fairly good. Of course, Dollar Tree isn't one of those stocks that is going to have very big fluctuating swings. It's more going to be stable, if that makes sense, of course. But still, I do feel that 7.17 billion for revenue will be fairly good. As far as this, they generally do beat on their revenue versus their earnings per share. It seems to be all over the place. But of course, based on this, it looks like in Q4 2022, Q4 2021, and it looks like right here, if I remember correctly, so Q2 2022, those are the only revenue aspects that they did miss on. And as far as some analyst ratings, just to go over some of the recent ones, so for this, it looks like Citibank did give one that was 3 days ago, $167. That was a buy rating, and Paul does have a 60% success rating, and JP Morgan, Matthew Boss, 51% success rating, and they have a $162 price target. So analysts behind the scenes seem to really like that. I don't know if they are liking Dollar Tree because technically inflation, maybe some aspect, this might be a hedge against inflation or potentially just a recession, because of course Dollar Tree sales generally do go up in times of difficulty. So maybe that's correlated with that. As far as Dollar Tree in comparison to a lot of its peers, their PS ratio, it is rather high. So once again, if they do really miss on their earnings, which I don't anticipate, but if they do, then it could potentially trend down. And as far as what to really watch for when it comes down to the next support and resistance points, with it being at $142.81, that one is between this S3 and the S2. So in comparison, this one is lagging. So once again, if their earnings is a miss, then especially based on the PS ratio, this could go down pretty dramatically and kind of correct itself. So $139.03 is that next big support range, and vice versa. You never know. If it is very positive, both on earnings per share, future guidance, and revenue, then it could potentially trend up. So 143.53, then 146, 150, and 155. And I don't see it getting anywhere close to past this pivot point of 150, but you never know. I could be wrong. So with that said, let me know you guys' thoughts on these three stocks in the comments below. And as far as this, what other companies are you guys interested in? Whether you guys are doing options, physical stock, or which ones do you own? Out of them all, I have a pretty significant amount in TD, so I'll be really watching their earnings. But once again, I think that is more of a secondary component to this. I think a lot of people are really looking at the future growth of tech, and that is going to be the focal point of NVIDIA. So once again, and I guess as well Snowflake, but let me know you guys' thoughts on all of this in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, take advantage of free promos, and that is with MULN, completely free for an account, but if you do throw $100 at it, you get 5 free stocks. Each stock is valued up to $2,000, and plus you can get a $50 cash reward. So in reality, that is a complete win-win in my opinion, and unfortunately this is only available for Americans, so just be aware. And if you are Canadian though, MULN is actually heading to Canada, so you can take advantage of that. You can obviously take a look at through their app and stuff like that. All you need is a phone number. That is it. No other information to sign up. So link in the description below and also the comments. And for the Canadians, by signing up just to look at their app, you can win a Tim's gift card, Amazon, and plenty of other things. So once again, take advantage of those while you can. With that said, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's make a lot of money on whatever floats your boat.